All right, good people. Here we are. We're going to try to explain some of the rules of Heroes of Mormon. First of all, we're going to start off with 60 cards in each deck. We're going to make sure that we choose one land card for each side. So I have one Nephite and one Lamanite card here. We're going to be using, in this case, the city of Nephi for the Lamanites. And as you can see here, they have a little point value here. Now the point value here is how many cards at the beginning of your turn that you're going to put into your supply pile. In this case, the Lamanites would get 3 cards for this city. Okay, on the opposite side, which would be the Nephite side, being how this number is here, that kind of indicates which side we're on right now. It'll be a little bit more easy to understand when we have the actual templates for our game in the digital format that we've made up. Now, this is the opposite side for the Nephites, and they get 1 per turn per their side. And we'll explain this a little bit more in the game too. I did something just to kind of mirror that. We got the city of Zarahemla, which also has, again, that same 3 and 1 scenario here, because you do want as many cards as you can get into your hands at the beginning of the game. And so this is advantageous for both people. And so this doesn't have to be, but this is what I'm doing, and this makes it a little bit easier. Now, there is on each side of the card, except for Nephi, there is different things that the card does. Okay, for instance, the city of Zarahemla, each troop that you deploy is a -2 to their deployment cost, which makes this card a very good card to have. And in this case, all your kings and captains in the city of the Lamanites are +1 to the strength and fortitude, which makes this not such a fun place to be for the Nephites if they're fighting, because they all have a +1 if they have kings and captains there. So we'll show you how that kind of works out as we play. Okay, so what will happen is we'll put the cards. I'm going to have them facing the correct directions. It's easier to have the Nephites on one side and the Lamanites on the other side, and so that is how we're going to place them. Now, I am going to have the city of the land of Nephi all on one side here, the land of Zarahemla here, and then further over we'll have the land of Bountiful, and Jerusalem will be over here. So that's kind of how we will place cards as we're going along here. And the Lamanites, of course, are going to start off the scenario here, the war, so to speak. Okay, so that being said, at the beginning of the turn, you choose your cards here, and then you also get to have 8 cards that you naturally will have in your hand. So I've already gone and done that here, 8 cards there, and I put 8 cards in the Nephite side. So in this case, we are going to just kind of look at our cards here. We have some action cards. This is a used action, which means if you play this card, it still remains in your pile. Okay, and so we will be able to use this again. And this one's called Think Again. And you can cancel any attack or any card, and that will actually be of your benefit to you, of course. Okay, so you kind of have to read through your cards to kind of know what you have, and it's also good to look at your whole deck to kind of understand what cards do what, so you can understand which ones are more important to you. There's other cards like this. Again, this is a lost action, which means if you use this card, you lose the card, but it definitely has advantages to using the card, of course, right? This is another card. This is a very good one. It could be lost or used, and that's a good one that we could show you this. This one could be a used card or a lost card depending on how you use it. It's a used card if you use a +3 to your war strength. It's lost if you use it as a +5, okay? The card lasts for, and it says on the bottom here, 1 turn cycle, which means if I use this card at the beginning of my turn cycle, it's still good for the other side as well. So it means if they attack me, I still have a +3 or a +5, which is very good, okay? These numbers up here actually signify what their value is in the battle itself, okay? This is determining how wars are won, and this is called your war number, okay? So if you're trying to target somebody with your weapon so you can attack them, or if you're trying to do a war where fortitude is involved, that's the number we're going to be using, and we'll show you how that's used as well. So that's what the numbers are at the top of each card. This is a city card, and as you can see, the city actually has a little dot here. That little dot indicates where it is placed. This is the city of, this is the land of Zarahemla. So Antipara was in the land of Zarahemla. So it can either, when we play this card, we can either place it to the right or left of Zarahemla itself. And that could be advantageous to create a buffer zone between Nephi and Zarahemla. Depending on how you want to play this card. Okay, the more cities are on the table, the more chances are of you needing to defend those cities in order for you to not lose cards in the game. So I'll kind of show how that kind of works out. But again, there's a value here and a value here, and since this is a Lamanite card, this is going to have a value of 2 for the Lamanites and a value of 1 for the Nephites. So we'll show you kind of how that works out. So this is going to be something, it doesn't cost you any cards to put this down on the table. So that being said, we will actually be able to put this down on the table, in just a moment. Again, used action card, and here we finally have a character card. Again, there's your war number. It's King Noah. Okay, we have our strength, we have our defenses. He has no fortitude, which means he can't use weapons. Because it won't do him any good. You need to have fortitude in order to use weapons. But here you deploy for 2 conviction and adds 2 to strength with any of Noah's priests. So if Noah's priests are actually on the table, it only costs 2 conviction to put them down instead of 5. This is your deploy number over here. Okay. And this right here is the forfeit number. So that's an important number to know. Your deploy number and your forfeit number. That's on the bottom of every card that has a deploy number, or it's in the text. Okay, so he would have it normally. If you're going to place him, he's going to need 5 from your supply pile to put down here on the table. But in this case, if you have a priest down here, you could go ahead and put him down for 2. And that's advantageous too, because if he's with his priest, he's also a benefit of a +2 strength, which makes him 4. So get to know your cards. Here is a weapon card. Okay, this is, I think, it's not as strong as say other cards. It's a dart. Obviously, it's not going to be as strong as other cards, but it does give you +1 to your strength, and so it is kind of nice to have. So you kind of want to be mindful. You might not want to have this on your best character, but you do want it on a character. Here is this is another good one to kind of show you here. This is different than a city card. Okay. This card right here is actually a land card, which means if you are in possession of the city Jerusalem and the other player is not in control of it, and you have more cards in that land in control of, you actually get the benefit of whatever is on here. And in this case, the Lamanites may move to adjacent cities for free. That's really nice because then I can move from Jerusalem over to Nephi, and it doesn't cost me any conviction to do that. If I control this as a Nephite, for example, the Nephites deploy is -1 in Jerusalem. That's really nice to have. Okay, so these are land cards. Those also get played. They do not cost you any cards to deploy. Okay, so if you put them down on the table, they don't cost you any cards. Here's another of our character cards. Again, deploy is 7. He's a much stronger guy. He's got a much stronger strength and defense. And he's actually got a fortitude of 2. So again, putting a weapon on this guy is actually going to be very beneficial because he's got a modifier and a higher fortitude, a more likely chance to actually be able to kill somebody with a weapon. We have, in his case, he adds +2 to strength and +1 to fortitude with a dagger or a sword. So if he has any of those, he's going to get a lot more stronger, of course. So you're going to be looking for the daggers and or swords to be putting with this kind of character. Okay. It also says at the very bottom of here, and we're going to have this a lot more clear on the actual cards, but for the prototype, here it is. He's immune to casualties of war that are less than 3. That means in a war, if you have to forfeit anything that's 3 or below, this card's safe still. Okay, you don't have to bend. You don't have to lose this card. You have to lose other cards in order to match the forfeit losses. But after that point, once we've hit that number, and I'll show you how this works, then we don't have to worry about that anymore. So he's immune to a 3 or below casualty of war or war loss. So that was that. I'm going to kind of show you that. Now, now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my city here. And we will go ahead, before we do any of that, the sequence is that we collect our supplies and then we can lay down cards as we see fit. So we are going to collect our supplies. Again, this is a 3 here and this is a 1 here, so that makes it a 4 plus 1. Okay, because you add 1 because you're on the table. You get 1 for just showing up. So you get 5 in that case. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that becomes your supply pile. Okay, and that's important because you need this supply in order to lay down these cards. Okay, like I said, cities do not cost you any cards to put down, so I'm going to put down Antipara. I'm going to put that down right here. That'll create a little bit of a buffer zone between the city of Nephi and Zarahemla, because more than likely the Nephites will start to put cards down at Zarahemla because it's a stronger place to be. Now, it doesn't mean that I want to leave this empty per se, because if we do that, then we're in trouble. Now, what's really nice about Antipara is that I can deploy any 1 troop for only 2 conviction per turn. So that means I can put down a very expensive card now that I put that down, such as this guy right here, Gadianton. He would normally cost me 7 cards to put down. So I'm going to use that city to my advantage now. Okay, because there are no cards here, for example, if I already had Gadianton down at the beginning of the turn in this city, for example, I could actually do what's considered, after I collected my supplies, I could do what's considered a attrition attack, which means that you're cutting off the other opponent's supplies. So if I do an attrition attack, the point of that is that you're going to help try and lose the other player's cards here. So if I had a guy here at the beginning of my turn, the sequence would go, collect supplies, do your attrition attack. That will take 1 of your conviction to do that. That goes into a used pile. And then I will be able to attack this. Now, this is where it gets just slightly tricky. This number here is if the other people were attacking you, that's how many cards you'd lose. And this is the Nephite side, and it's only got a 1 here. So if it was a 2, they would lose 2 cards. If it was 3, they would lose 3, and so on and so forth, right? So this is a 1, and if I were to do that kind of attrition attack, then I would use 1 card here. And now the Nephites need to lose a card here. Now, it's usually more beneficial to lose cards that are in your hand that you already know what they are. Because if you choose 1 at random here, you might actually lose a really good card. Okay, so in this case, I could look through the Nephite side if that would be the case, and I could go, which one do I not think I need the most? Okay, because if I just choose 1 at random, I might actually lose, for example, Captain Moroni or Tiankum or somebody who's really good that I want to keep. So we might not want to just lose random cards. I have Ammon here, which is a really good card to have. This is a good one. If you play this card, if you lose a character in battle, okay, that one's not good for what we're doing here. Some of these actually will save you from that. So you kind of got to read through this. Cancel card just played, or use 2 conviction to cancel any lasting action. Again, this one won't save us from that, so we will actually have to lose a card. And I think, let me see here. I want to keep Jerusalem. I think we are going to lose this card here. It's a pretty good card. Again, this is a use lost action card, and we're going to lose it. So I'm just going to place it down here in my lost pile, and there we go. I'll probably put that over here so you guys can see that. So I'm going to put this in my lost pile. Okay, this I'm going to make my supply pile, use pile, lost pile. Okay, and so that card is lost, and when it is lost, it is turned face up so that both players can actually see what is lost. So that goes face up like that. That would happen if that would be the case, okay? But this was just hypotheticals, you know, and oops, that one goes over here. Let's get Anton. So that's what happens if you have a player here at the beginning of your turn. You can actually do an attrition attack, okay? So since nobody's on the table, obviously, we do want to start putting people on the table as quickly as possible. Since we have Antipara, I'm going to place this card down. And since this is 7 here, but it says I can deploy for 2, I'm only going to use 2 cards from our supply pile. That's 1 and that's 2. So that's 2 cards from our supply pile. I have somebody on the board now. He's a really strong guy. It kind of works like this. Your strength is for attacking, okay? And your defense is for defending, of course. So it means if the other players attacking you, they have to use their power to overpower your defenses, okay? And that's kind of how that works out. So I'm going to put him down in Antipara, and I've already done that. Do I have anything else that I want to put down? I don't think I really want to put down Jerusalem just yet because I don't have any cards or any city cards of Jerusalem, so I can't control that right away. And I might want to decide to lose this in the near future if I need to lose a card. So there is that. All right, so since I don't have any other cards that would be beneficial to actually put down other than King Noah, I think I will actually put down King Noah. Now, here's the deal. I could either wait till next turn to deploy him for only 2 cards, which would be great, right? I don't know how many are in my supply pile. I only have 3 in my supply pile, which would mean I would not be able to play this card, not this turn, because I don't have 5 cards in my supply pile. So that really does mean that is the end of our turn. But since that was the beginning of our turn and that's the beginning of the game, that's actually a pretty strong play, so that's okay. So we're just going to go ahead, we're going to leave him here. And these used cards go now into the bottom of this stack here. You do not lose those cards. They are not like the lost cards that we place on the other side here. So the Lamanites have the opportunity to either, let me see if I can make this so you can see it really well. I have the opportunity to either take these cards and now I can move these and so-called regroup. I can actually put them into my hand, or I can keep them in the supply pile. Okay, it is the beginning of the game, so technically speaking, it might still be good for us to put it in our hand because I might want other cards, other players, and for right now, I'll just put it in my hand. So we see that we just got the Sword of Laban, which again, this is your deploy value. It takes 4 in order for you to put it down. Since it's a sword, this would be a +6 to strength. That would be pretty awesome to have on this guy. It'd make him a power of 10. Really kick butt, right? And then you could also have the fortitude of 1, and he would actually then have a fortitude of 3. This is actually a really good weapon to have, and in his case would actually make him really powerful with the added bonus that he has. Local defenses is a lasting action, okay? There are used actions, there are used actions, and there are lasting actions. The lasting actions are things that you can place on people or things such as cities. In this case, it would be placed on a city, and that would actually booster that city up by 4. Okay. In this case, most cards can be played whenever you have any used, lasting, or lost. You can play them at any time. So if I am getting attacked, I can actually wait and place that on my city, and that might actually foil the other person's plan here. We may end up changing that a little bit longer on throughout the game. It might actually cause a little bit of hiccup, so that's where we're at right now. Here is this is actually a Nephite land card, and since we do have a Nephite city, as soon as we start putting people down here and controlling that, this is actually going to make our land, all of the cities in this land, more powerful. And so we are going to just keep these right here. That is ours to take for later on. Now it is the Nephite side. Again, now I'm going to go through. I don't have any city cards, so there are no city cards, so I can't place down any city cards. We are going to count up now. I got 3, 4, 5, and since there's 5 here, and I get an additional one, that makes 6 cards that I can use here, right? So I'm going to get 6 cards in my supply pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This stays here. I'm going to want to put down Ammon, as quickly as possible. This is a deploy for -2 of their deployment cost. He is a cost of 6, so that would make that a cost of 4. Okay, so we would definitely want to do that. We have Samuel here. His supply draw is +2 in the city, which makes that really awesome because then I can take Zarahemla, for example, and make that a 3 + 5 for that city. That would be pretty awesome. So I'm going to want to try and place down as many of these as possible. His defense is really high, just because of who he is. It's Samuel the Lamanite, and as we all know, he's immune to weapon attack. So that's kind of funny, huh? So in this case, we could possibly put him down because the other person here, unless they have some card that magically can put them over here, which there is a card called Forced March, but they would not be able to move over here and attack. So I think in this case, the most advantageous thing to do would possibly to put him down, because I know that they're probably not going to be able to come over and attack me here. So this is only going to cost me 3 because it's -2 here. So I'm going to use 3 from here. 1, 2, 3, and put that into the used pile here, which gives me 3 more left over here. And being how we only have 3 left and we have no other way of doing anything here, I am going to either pick more up here or leave them here. In this case, since I still have, I want to actually be able to put these down as soon as possible, so that I can gain the advantages here of having such weapons and such people. He's a good card to have. So in order to do that, I'm going to need more cards next turn. I'm going to need 3. Plus, if I put him down here, I'll need 4. So that's going to put me at 7 cards I'm going to need. So I'm going to have to do something relatively quick. So I'm going to make sure that I leave these cards here in my supply pile so I can still use those for next turn. Okay, so this is a case where I decide not to put those in my hand and not to so-called regroup. Okay, so that stays here in the supply pile, and it is now the Lamanite side. Okay. Now, like I was telling you in the beginning, if nobody's opposing you and you have a troop here, now I can do what's called an attrition attack, which is really good. So as soon as we collect our supplies, we have 3, 5, 6, that makes 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is what we have here. And since I have, again, like I was telling you with Gadianton, he's here. Nobody is here defending Gadianton's city of Antipara. I can take one of my cards here, and I am going to do an attrition attack, which means he's going to lose 1 card because that is what the number indicates here. Its value is. So that is 1 here, okay? And likewise for the Nephites next turn, if nobody's there, it's still 1 for the Nephites. They're going to lose, okay? So I am going to do that. He's going to have to lose 1. And here we go. Like I was saying, I can choose to lose a card that I know what I'm losing, or I can lose a card that I don't know what I'm going to lose. So like I said, I'm probably going to lose this card. Just for me, it's probably not going to make or break me. So I lost a card here. And your main objective is to get them to lose the whole stack as much as possible, because whoever has the most cards at the end of the game wins. Okay? So there you go. So he's done his attrition attack. Now it is time to deploy your troops. We have King Noah here that we definitely want to put down. And again, since we waited to the next turn, I can deploy him for only 2. It doesn't cost me so much to put this guy down. And that is going to be really beneficial. So I'm going to put King Noah down. So we got King Noah down here. And so looking at this, now the strength of that city is a 6 and the defense is 7. Okay. The fortitude is only 2. In order to use your war number, you need a 3 or above on the fortitude. And we'll show you how that works. So with that said, I'm going to use, because of the city, only 2 cards to deploy him. So that's 1 and that's 2 right here. Okay. I can choose at the end of doing this to move characters for 1 conviction each character. So that would cost me 2 conviction from my supply pile to move over this way or this way. It's completely up to me if I want to keep them there. Since it does create a buffer between me and the other character, I might actually leave this card there and not move it. Okay, and since there are other cards such as this one, this is a local defense, I could put this on any city to gain a benefit of 4 to defense, which would be really great to have. Okay, so there's that. But I choose at this time to do nothing. since things are going well and I don't have any character cards in my hand anymore, I definitely want to pick up this stack because I have nothing that I need to deploy here other than a dart. And I really don't want to deploy that just now. Oh, we also know we had from last turn, we got Laban's sword. That costs 4, and we have right here 4. So I can either deploy Laban's sword down, or I could wait and just put these in my hand and figure out what other characters we have, because I might be able to get Laban, and that would be better to have on Laban. It's kind of a toss-up. I'm not really being challenged, so I'm just going to pick up my whole stack here. So I'm going to get a couple of cards here. I got King Amulon, I got Sons of Ishmael, and I got a War Club. And I think the War Club might actually be more beneficial and more fitting for him. There are certain weapons that are geared towards certain characters that you get an additional benefit. This would be Sarahemna's War Club, and he'd get a +2 to his Fortitude, and that would make him a lot more stronger, obviously. So there's that. So Sons of Ishmael and King Amulon, this was very good to have picked up for this turn. So there's that. I'm going to put that there. It is now the Nephite's turn. All right. I still had cards here. I have things here now, but we got to count up 3, 4, 5, and that makes 6, right? So I'm going to put 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 right there. Good. I definitely want to get more land cards, or more city cards, I mean, as soon as possible, because they're getting 7 and I'm only getting 6 because of the numbers here. Okay, that puts me at a slight disadvantage. So with that being said, I am going to do an attrition attack on the Lamanite side, and I'm going to put down a card here to do that. Oh, this also goes back in the use pile. So I use 1 card to do that. They have to lose, again, a total of 1, since the 1 is the point value for that card. So they lose 1 card. They can lose it from their hand. They could lose, say, the dart, which isn't make or break. I could lose a land card, which in this case, I could live with just getting rid of this card. I mean, we don't have Jerusalem on the table, so I think I will just lose that card. It goes in the lost pile. That being said, now I have my, looks like, because you got to read your cards, guys. He gives an additional 2 cards to your supply draw. So instead of only getting 6, I'm going to get 8, which is very nice. 7, 8. There we go. So I'm going to put down my cards because we have no battles to do here. I'm going to deploy my troops. We're going to go ahead and deploy him for a total of 4 because this is a deployment of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the thing is, yes, you may not look at your supplies as you're putting them in the use pile. You can't pick and choose which ones you're going to do, so you can't look at them. It's all random. I could actually put down, for example, there might be some really good cards in this supply pile, for example, and I'm just going to show you breastplates and Captain Antipus and a bunch of other stuff. But because you don't know what they are, it's kind of a little bit random, right? But I wanted to put him down. I just did that. That cost me 4. I could choose to put down the javelin here. So we have a strength of 7. Okay, they have a defense of 7. So if I were to do this, I would actually have greater strength than these guys have here, and that would be great. And since Ammon has a Fortitude of 3, we would actually be able to use the war number and cause some havoc, and they would not. So we are actually going to do that. Hopefully we have enough cards to do that. I have 1, 2, 3. That's 3 to deploy this weapon, Javelin, onto Ammon. That now makes Ammon a strength of 8 and a Fortitude of 4. Okay. Tiankum gets an added benefit for using the Javelin. Obviously, we're trying to keep some things close to the Book of Mormon, and so that is his weapon of war. So we are going to move both troops in just in a bit and cause an attack maybe next next turn. I don't have any cards that would make it so that I can move over per se. and control it. But we are actually going to move our 2 cards. Weapons and armor do not count against you, so that's 1, 2. I'm going to need 2 cards. I'm going to go 1, 2 and put those 2 cards there, and I'm going to leave that one there for next turn, just in case we need to put down some more cards. Well, let's just pick it up, which is good because we just got Captain Tiankum. Okay, so there's that. And that's going to be very beneficial if they decide to stay there and try to do any war or attack on us. Okay, we are a defense of 11, and they are a defense of 7. We could definitely hurt them if they stay there, and so there's that. All right, we are probably about at a point where we could wrap things up a little bit here. But I did want to show you how war numbers work and whatnot. So say, for example, we fast forward a little bit. They decided that they did not need to move, and they decided that they were going to place other cards in other places. For example, they were going to put King Amulon here for some weird reason with the Sons of Ishmael or whatnot, and they were going to leave him there. And, you know, say that's how we had that. For the sake of the next turn, we would then do our supply draw where, you know, we'd choose our 8 cards here, and then we would go ahead and place down our cards. And in this case, you know, you can deploy, and as long as you're deploying in the same city you're attacking, you can deploy and use that card. Okay, so that's how that would work out. If, for example, we were to, well, this still even works if we do it this way. So let's just do this so that we can see how a battle actually kind of pans out. So we have here Sons of Ishmael. It's got a defend of 2. 4 makes 6. 2 makes 8. 8 plus 5, 13. So we have a defense of 13. Okay. We could do that if we knew we were going to get crushed. He's got to move before any attack for 1 conviction to or from the battle scene. But that only applies to his card. So if we wanted to, we knew we were going to lose or whatnot, we could actually move his card over to a different city, and that would save his card. But that would only help him. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and we are going to, we know that he's got a defense of 13. We have a strength of, if we put down Tiankum, which we would, and we would be able to put down Tiankum, for example, we would have now 6, 9, 14, 15. So it'd be 15 versus 13. Okay, they're already at a negative or a minus of 2, right? 15 to 13. They are 2 at a loss right there. And then because we have a fortitude of 3 or greater, he's got 4 and he's got 3. Anything over 3, we actually get to take a card from the top of our deck. And land cards have the highest value. They have a value of 6. Which we are actually going to reformat this and put the number up at the top of the card. But they have a value of 6. So that puts us at 15 plus 6. That puts us at 21 to 13, which is a difference of 8.